can RVR. Every single land that you enter has an RVR space in it. By simply entering that RVR space, you can participate in open world RVR. This is non-instanced, really crazy combat that happens everywhere within the world. So, within the open world RVR space is what we call skirmishes. So this is kind of the incidental combat where me and my group, me and my realm are coming around the edge of the hill and we see the bad guys and we run into combat with them, hoping to defeat them. By defeating them, we earn things for ourselves. We also earn points for our realm, which we can use in a lot of different ways. Also within the skirmish areas are what we call battlefield objectives. So these are things that you can fight over. Things like chaos portals or magical obelisks. Things that help to gain points for you and your realm, and also to help you dominate the land around them. Want to talk about keeps?
We should talk about keeps.
So, the next thing I want to talk about is keeps. This is something that we did in Dark Age of Camelot that we had massive success with. These are giant castles, dotted throughout the land. Places that you can go to and capture and own for yourself and for your realm. They truly help to dominate all of the land around you. But your enemy wants them also. He can bring his siege weapons to bear, bringing his catapults and his ballista, his hell cannons, his trebuchets, his orcapults.
His boiling oil that I dump on Jeff's head when he rolls up with a battering ram.
I don't think so. My battering ram has a cover on it.
It was until we lit it on fire.
Yeah, whatever.
We had a thing. So, what these keeps actually provide is obviously a couple of things. One, it's a focal point for open world RVR.
Absolutely.
It's a location that you know that you want to target it, you want to take it, you want to control it. As a guild, you can actually go ahead and take over a keep, defend that keep yourselves, and earn additional privileges for your guild that we'll touch on shortly. But then also, it's a major target for your enemies to come in. Obviously, you're given a strategic advantage by being inside of a giant fortification. But it's an excuse, obviously, then to roll out the big scary weapons that Jeff was talking about. The orcapults, the catapults, the dwarfapults.
So let's talk about siege and how siege works in the game. So siege warfare, again, is all about bringing these massive weapons of war out and against your enemy. And they're thematically based upon your race. Like, you have the orcapult. Each race has specific types of battering rams. So where a dwarf might actually have a big battering ram with a cool metal sheath on the end that he can ram into the doors, the orcs might not have a battering ram. They might just bring out a big troll and whip him while he beats the door down for them. These pieces of siege equipment are not only usable on keeps, but they're actually usable on capital cities also. As we said earlier, your capital cities become the thing that your players want. This is actually destruction players running through the streets of Altdorf after they have brought their siege engines to bear against Altdorf itself, knocking down the gates of Altdorf, running through the streets,
burning things.
Burning things to the ground, kicking open the doors to the good guys' houses,
killing the apple vendor,
stealing everything they have, killing the apple vendor, robbing the banks, desecrating the Temple of Sigmar that you saw earlier.
Cutting Jeff's statue's head off.
All of the things that you've worked so hard for, all of the things that you get from leveling up your city, all of those cool quests, all the cool areas that you now have access to, your enemy is able to partake in that now. He's able to come in and go down to the crypts where the ghosts are at underneath Sigmar Temple. Go down into the Skaven tunnels. He's able to participate in the public quests that you worked so hard to open up. He's able to take everything from you and make it his own. He's actually able to take the fight into the very castle of Emperor Karl Franz and fight in a grand and epic, glorious battle for domination of the world.
Then stand on the battlements and go,
we won. It's good. So you didn't have anything to add.
Well, I was going, we need him to talk about the campaign.
Okay, so how does this all work? It's what we call the campaign. Everything that you're successful in as a player, everything that you do, whether it be PvE activities, going on quests, fighting great monsters, opening up things in the Tome of Knowledge, doing public quests, all of those things, as well as RVR, objectives, going on skirmishes, doing scenarios, attacking and conquering keeps, all of those things together play into what we call the campaign. As you do well as a realm, you're actually able to capture the land of your enemies, making it your own, pushing the war back towards his capital city, pushing it to his very gates, where you can lay assault to a city itself.
Absolutely. And one of the interesting parts about this is there really is a cooperative nature to the PvE and the RVR experience. Players that are really focused on RVR actually need the support of players that are deeply focused on PvE, that are doing the public quest, that are unlocking things in the tome, that are exploring the world to discover the layers that we've placed everywhere, that are really sort of experiencing everything in the world, because they need that assistance to help them control zones and to move that war effort closer and closer to an enemy city. And the PvE players need the RVR players to break down that gate, to break their way into an enemy city, to dominate it, to give them access to the extra dungeons, the really high-level NPCs, the Emperor Karl Franz encounter that's only available to you once the RVR campaign has gone straight into the enemy city, knocked down the gates with siege weapons. The campaign really encompasses the entire game. Every single thing that you do contributes to the war effort.
Absolutely. That's good. So guilds and socialization. Let me give you a lead in, and then I'll turn it over to Josh to talk about this. So guilds in our game, guilds in other games, to be left unnamed, are generally these chat channels. It's a list of names of your friends and a chat channel to talk in. And we think that those games are missing the boat. We really feel strongly that guilds can be so much more than just a chat channel. They can be living, breathing entities. Things that progress through the game as you progress through the game. So you want to walk me through this real quick?
So one of the things that we've been touching on as we've been talking about the game is that our game is not simply a solitary experience. It's not just you versus the world. It's involving two major components, cooperation and competition. The games that you play as a child out on the playground, soccer, tag, things of that sort, you're playing against other people, playing board games, card games. These are all things that are social and competitive. And PC games, traditionally, are far more solitary. MMOs brought back that social component. We're trying to push it to the next level. So what we've got is what we call the living guilds. And what that literally means, as Jeff said, I'm stepping on things, is over time, as your guild levels up, you get access to more and more things. Things like a guild heraldry, which is more than just a pretty little flag to run around with and hang on your wall. The guild heraldry actually eventually becomes a banner in the world, a thing that you can attach tactics to, that gives you the opportunity to improve the performance of your guild out in the world, in PvE, in RVR. In RVR, you can take over a keep, you can hang your heraldry from the side of it, you can claim that keep as your own. This is something that your guild has done. It's a braggable thing. It's an exciting thing. And the guilds give you the opportunity to basically join an ever-continuous additional part of advancement in the world. And again, as Jeff said, traditionally you just kind of get a chat channel. We're building in tools that make it easy for players that run guilds to really engage their players without having to spend 10 hours a day running a forum, doing 6 other things outside of the game. We want you in the game, we want you playing. So we give you the ability to have a calendar that allows you to schedule events that says 20 people needed for this event on Friday, sign up, you can go through, you know who it is. We automate things like what's going on with your guild from day to day. We have a news thing that runs like an RSS filter that tells you every major event that happens for your guild. We want it to be a fast, easy tool that's extremely powerful and very robust.
Yeah, I think the thing, let me underline this from what Josh is saying, it's ease of use that's important. Running guilds, and I'm sure that some of you have done this in an MMO, can be very, very difficult.
A full-time job.
It's super time consuming, especially as your guild gets more and more involved.